Hello, and welcome back to Afterglow, episode 62. This one we're going to be covering a sports game. I'm not much of a big sports game guy, but there are a few that I did enjoy. And this one goes way, way back on the NES. It's a baseball game with a unique twist that I really enjoyed back then. Still enjoyed today, although you can cheese it just a bit. But we're going to get into all that after the music break, and as a little addition, we're also going to throw in a commercial for the game on the music break. So I'll see you after that.
Coming home to your NES Ultra BaseWars. The fielding is ironclad.
What a riveting game! Victory runs along good, Tim.
You can even add power to your rotation.
Looks like the manager's bringing in a fresh arm, Lou.
And BaseWars features the game's greatest hitters. BaseWars fever. Catch it.
Welcome back. So again, Base Wars came out for the NES, and I got this game at a yard sale whenever I was a kid, and the label was torn on it. The game wasn't in the best of shape. It was like 50 cents. I don't care like what era it is, the current era or back then. 50 cents for an NES game, of course you're going to pick it up no matter what it is. And this game ended up being quite fun. It kind of starts out as a standard baseball game. It uses that for the core gameplay. So, for the most part, you're playing baseball. Except one, the players are robots, which brings in a bunch of cool touches because there's many, many different types of robots you can have on the field at a time. Let me double check my notes here. We have the motorcycle robot, which has like a wheel that uses to get around on. The cyborg, which is more or less humanoid, 2 arms, 2 legs. The tank, which has treads that it moves around on. And the flybot, which doesn't have any legs at all, it hovers. So kind of a cool combination thing there. So each robot has different stats that you can use in the game, and these stats are not only important for regular gameplay, but whenever you hit a ball and you're running and they're catch the ball and they meet you, it's not an immediate out. Instead, you enter into a combat mode where you and the bot that's trying to get you out fight, and if you're winning as a runner, you can continue on to the base. Although if the guy that's trying to get you out beats you, of course, you're out. And of course, you know, if they just catch the ball immediately after you hit it without hitting the ground, you're immediately out. But that fighting mechanic is really, really cool and gives you a chance to more or less steal bases fairly quickly if you're really good at the fighting mechanic. But your health depends on how close you are to the base. I believe the closer you are, the more health you have, if I remember correctly. Of course, this game, it's incredibly easy to get a few home runs, and once you kind of learn it, and there's a really dirty trick if you're pitching. It's quite evil, more or less. The if you're playing against the AI, they will never get a hit on you. What you do, you want to move your pitcher as close to the batter as you can. So if they're all the way on the left, you want to move all the way to the left. If they're on the right, you want to move all the way over to the right. And then whenever you pitch the ball, you can charge your shot, and your guy will start blinking. Whenever he's blinking fastest, that's when you let go, but you can still control the ball in midair. And you want to slide that ball as far away from the batter as you can. They'll swing at it every time, and they'll miss every time because it's just out of range of the bat. But the AI will fall for this every time, and they will never score a hit. So if you want to cheese the game, you can do that, and more or less, it'll be a shutout every time. So going on, there's exhibition mode where you just play a game, but then there's pennant mode, which pennant mode is amazing in this game because in between games you can upgrade your players because of course they're robots. Of course you can buy them upgrades, right? But if you win the game, you get $20,000. If you lose, you get $5,000. You get weapons. There's catch, which is your glove, shoot, which is your throw, unit is your speed, engine is how fast your HP regenerates, and your shoulder does your hitting power. And then there's a selection in the shop. Like for weapons, there's the battle gimmick, the iron glove, the fire gun, the laser gun, the handgun, the Murasama, and the laser sword. The laser sword's really, in my opinion, the one to go with. It's not the most expensive. I think it's the second most expensive. But if you get an enemy in the right situation, you just pulverize their health meter. And for catch, you get the Super, the Ultra, and Hyper. For shoot, Super, Ultra, Hyper. Unit, Super, Ultra, Hyper. Engine, Super, Ultra, Hyper. Shoulder, Super, Ultra, Hyper. So really all the work was done in this game for the weapons. For every other upgrade, it's just a generic, Super, Ultra, and Hyper, with each one being a little better. But, again, for 50 cents, this game was an absolute blast. And even if back in the day I would have had to pay, I'm not going to say full price, but like $20 for it, it would have been worth it. Like, I'm not even a sports guy. But this game is just an absolute blast to play. Like, single player, yeah, you can cheese it. Once you learn that pitching technique, you can cheese it all day long and just completely annihilate the computer. 2 players where it's at, though. Like, just, getting those line drives and throwing the ball back infield before the runner can get there, and then having a Mortal Kombat style fighting match to determine who stays and who goes. It's just an amazing experience. So if you're looking for a good NES multiplayer game, I want to stress multiplayer, although single player is fun. If you want something that's multiplayer, but you want something that you haven't experienced yet that's a little different, because you've played the heck out of all the usual ones, Turtles 2, Double Dragon, all the usual good NES multiplayer games. I'd recommend this one, because it's different for sure, but it's an absolute blast as far as I'm concerned. And it's different just because of the whole robot thing, and it's something that you wouldn't see these days. Like, there's not a lot of companies that are willing to take a risk like that with a sports game in this day and era. Like, the only company I can even think of that's doing that are the guys that are making, like, Blood Bowl right now. But back then, you saw more games take risks like that, and it's something that I really, really enjoy. But that's pretty well going to wrap it up for my memories of this game. We're going to listen to some more music for it before we go over the outro. Thank you once again for listening to another episode of Afterglow. Again, I know this one was just a little bit on the shorter side. However, we're definitely going to be making up for that next week. Next week will be a very special episode with another special guest. So I really hope y'all will tune in for that one. Here's a quick spoiler. It will be another role-playing game. Of course, y'all know I'm a big fan of role-playing games. And this one is going to be one of the biggest, so I really hope you tune in. But if you enjoy what you're listening to, maybe you want to talk to some of us outside of this, have some two-way conversation, check the show notes. We do have a Discord link that you can go check out. If you want to support the show with just $1 a month, you can. There is a Patreon link, and you'll get a shout-out at the end of every episode. If you want to listen to some more entertaining podcasts, be sure to check out friends of the show, such as Retro Gaming Roundup. They are one of the longest running podcasts out there. Tons of top 10s, interviews, reviews, news for the era. Just a great long-form show to listen to. There is also the Secret Levels podcast, starring Toby and Goobs. Definitely one of the funniest shows I've listened to in a long time. They cover one game per episode, and each episode is just absolutely fantastic. They play off of each other so well. Definitely check them out. Also, be sure to check out the Lost and Gone podcast with Grim. He goes over Lost and Forgotten Media. He's got a couple side projects that he does every once in a while, too. He's got a few episodes out right now. He's starting to build that backlog up, so be sure to check out his work if you haven't yet. For Afterglow, our show logo and artwork has been done from TobyVonDoom from Secret Levels, and our intro and outro music is done by Grim from the Lost and Gone podcast. Again, I cannot thank you all enough for taking time out of your day to listen to Afterglow. Definitely join in next week. It will be a longer episode, but it will be awesome. It might be coming out maybe just a few days late. Usually I try to upload at least once a week. This one might be a little late because I can almost guarantee it's going to be a longer episode. It'll definitely be worth it though. But hopefully you'll join us next time for the next episode of Afterglow.